Hello, we are David and Sarah Trustman. We are comic book creators and mnemonists, and we really want to see the ancient art of memory return to the forefront of education.
Now, most of you probably know what a comic book creator is, but there's a good chance that a lot of you don't know what a mnemonist is. So for those of you who don't, a mnemonist is a person who is trained in the art of converting specific information into specific images, and then storing those images in specific locations in the mind.
Basically, we figure out how to memorize stuff, and we know what you're all thinking. Cool.
But mnemonics are cool. They are so amazing, so incredible, they don't even seem real. They seem like magic. And that's exactly where we first learned about the art of memory, was in a book of magic tricks. The trick we learned looks something like this. Now, the TEDx staff has prepared a list of 15 random objects. David and I have not seen this list. It has been under lock and key. So, I'm going to try to memorize this list, and I want y'all to play along with me.
Now, as I read the list out for Sarah to memorize, everyone should play along and memorize as well. See how you do. And here we go. Number 1, brick.
Okay?
2, pencil.
Okay?
3, a light.
A light? Okay?
Number 4, horse.
Okay?
Number 5, ball.
Okay?
Number 6, phone.
I'm sorry, phone?
Phone.
Phone? Okay.
Number 7, towel.
Okay.
Number 8, pillow.
Okay.
Number 9, moon.
Moon?
Yep, the moon.
Okay.
Number 10, pizza.
Pizza? Okay.
Number 11, keys.
Okay.
12, box.
Okay.
13, ice.
Ice, all right.
14, coin.
Coin, okay.
And 15 is shoe.
Shoe. Okay.
All right, how do we all do?
You got him right.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point at people and just call out the first number that you think of. You right there. 1.
Brick.
6.
6, phone.
One more. 14, I heard.
14 was coin.
And 10 was the last one?
Pizza.
All right. So
You get the idea.
we get the idea. And the thing about this is it's very amazing. It looks awesome. The truth is every single person can do exactly what Sarah does with just a teeny tiny bit of mnemonic training.
When we first started memory training, we quickly learned that it is fun and addictive. It makes you feel superpowered. It is like your brain has been unlocked and you can remember anything, anywhere.
So why isn't this ancient, amazing art being used everywhere? Is it too complicated?
Well, the art is one of simplicity and can be surmised in 3 basic fundamentals.
Fundamental number 1, your mind best remembers things as images.
So to remember something, you should try to translate it into an image. For example, if I was to meet David for the first time and I wanted to remember his name, I would think of something visual or an object that I could associate with his name. For David, I use the Star of David. So then I would want to picture the Star of David in David's most noticeable feature, his eyes. Okay, his beard. And that way, whenever I see David and I see his glorious beard, I will also remember the Stars of David and I'll be prompted with his name.
David.
David.
Fundamental number 2, your mind best remembers things that are out of ordinary.
So think sex, gore, violence, humor. anything that gives you some type of base or emotional reaction. For example, an elephant giving a TED Talk on memory.
Fundamental number 3. Your mind requires locations to store your mnemonic images in order.
Think of your brain like a room. It's harder to find anything in a messy room. Like the physical world, your mind also requires organization in order to find your memories quickly. To do this, you memorize something called a memory path or a memory palace. It's a fixed series of locations that you can travel in your mind and go to the same places all the time in your imagination. And then to store your mnemonic images there, you simply picture them there.
Now, you see, most memory palaces are unique to each person. Yours would look nothing like mine would look nothing like yours. But Sarah and I realized that we had done something a bit more
intimate.
Since we'd been learning together, we constructed a shared memory palace.
Now, we mentioned that we are comic book creators, and the art of memory is a visual one. So it makes sense that instruction should also be visual. And who better to undertake the task than a couple of comics creators? After all, creating comics is telling a story in a visual and memorable way. And that is exactly what a mnemonist does. But for thousands of years, books on the art of memory have used words to tell you what and how to memorize something. So for example, if you wanted to memorize the bones of the spine, the book might say, picture a sick chicken. This sick cock represents the coccyx. And above that, you have a sack of rum, sacrum. And on top of the sack of rum rests a pile of wood or lumber, lumbar spine. And on top of that balances Thor's hammer, thoracic. And on top of that is a serving platter covered with icicles, cervical. So these techniques work. They are amazing. And we highly recommend them. Nothing would make us happier than if everyone left and looked for books, old and new, on the art of memory. But if you're new to the art of mnemonics, they can be a bit daunting. And if you're anyone, even the most seasoned mnemonist, some of them are a little dry.
So instead of paragraph after paragraph explaining, imagine this just so, we decided to simply introduce people to the world of memory by providing the images.
So you see, you have your sick chicken, your coccyx, and then you have the sack of rum, pile of lumber, Thor's hammer, and your serving platter covered with icicles, cervical. One of our favorite things to memorize was and is shuffled decks of playing cards. Why cards? Well, for one, memorizing playing cards is a lot of fun. You see, when you're memorizing a shuffled deck of cards, you have these crazy characters telling crazy stories. In fact, this is the very first deck we ever used. We actually put the characters onto the cards. So when you shuffle the cards and the order of the cards changes, the story also changes. So today's story might have Harley.
Oh, Queen of Spades.
Fighting Wasp.
Oh, 6 of Diamonds.
But tomorrow's story, after you shuffle and mix up your deck, might have Red She-Hulk.
Queen of Clubs.
Making out with Invincible.
Ace of Clubs.
But beyond fun, cards have a practical purpose as well.
You see, once you've mastered the skills needed to memorize a shuffled deck of cards, you have the basic understanding needed to memorize anything.
When we first started memorizing playing cards, we did it literally everywhere.
You get interesting looks at a doctor's office.
Our kids saw us memorizing cards in the car, at dinner,
Birthday parties.
at the doctor's office, again, literally everywhere, and they wanted in. So being the wonderful parents that we are, of course we set out to initiate them in the arts. But we quickly learned that we were going to have to simplify things a bit. Our daughter was only 5 at the time, and she wanted to memorize an entire shuffle deck of cards, which meant she was going to need a memory palace.
Now, most memory palaces are people's homes because they are exceptionally familiar. And what you would do is you would start at your bed and you'd say number 1, and you'd go to the side table, number 2, and you'd work around the room. Maybe go out of the room and in the hallway you're at 3 or 4. And, it starts off, you really know it. But as you get going, you get to say number 37, and how are you supposed to remember that that's a lamp? There's nothing to tell you, 37, lamp.
When you have 2 kids, with the patience of 2 kids, it just wasn't happening. So our struggle led us to create our memory palace based on what we already know. See, we already have a method for keeping things in order.
It's called counting.
And we also already have a method for recognizing each number visually.
Writing.
So our location number 1, a tower that looks like the number 1. Location number 2, a swan shaped like a 2. Location number 3, if you tilt those mountains on the side, it looks like a 3. Location 4, a hand frozen in stone coming up out of the ground. Location 5, a waterfall that looks like the number 5. And the list goes on and on. So if you wanted to memorize something like, say, a grocery list is just a very basic example, it would look like this. You'd have your milk pouring down the tower and bananas rolling it towards you, threatening to crush you or make you slip.
So what we did is we put together a simple comic that we could share with our kids and teach them our memory palace.
And before we knew it, they were memorizing shuffled decks of cards and more. Our daughter, at the age of 6, devoured 60 places of pie, and our son, today at 12, memorizes 4 shuffled decks of cards at a time. But beyond that, their confidence in other areas is through the roof. Their grades have improved dramatically, because now they have this amazing study tool. Their new mnemonic superpowers have given them noticeable positive changes in all areas of their life. So we got to thinking, if we could share our memory path with each other and with our kids, why not share it with the world? Why not share this amazing tool? So today we spend our time creating these crazy images and these silly stories and working with other people, teaching them how to learn and teach using memory, using this ancient art of mnemonics. We imagine a world where mnemonics again are mainstream, where all students, know how to unlock their mind's fullest potential, where kids and adults use crazy, silly stories to memorize anything from the periodic table to the presidents, where on-the-job training is fun, not scary.
See, for centuries, the art of memory was essential to everyone's way of life, and they should be again. Thank you.